Good evening. We're starting with breaking news coming out of Sun City. We want to show you some video from Sky 12. Crews are on the scene of a first alarm fire near 103rd Avenue and Olive. We just learned that 2 people are dead. Peoria Fire and Medical say they were both found unresponsive inside an apartment. Firefighters and medical teams responded at about 7:30 tonight. They're asking the public to avoid the area, and we're still waiting to hear what caused this blaze. Be sure and stay with 12 News overnight for the latest. Mesa High School will operate under new leadership next year.
The Mesa Public School Governing Board voted to not renew contracts for the principal and athletic director following accusations of failure to report a crime that happened on campus.
12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in studio with these new developments. Gabby?
Well, Mark Caribe, a spokesperson for Mesa Public Schools, clarifies the board's action tonight was not considered to be disciplinary, and these are not terminations.
We'll fight forever.
Mesa High School Principal Kirk Thomas and Athletic Director David Klecka embraced their supporters moments after the Mesa Public School Governing Board voted not to renew their contracts next school year.
We're very saddened by it and a little amazed and taken aback.
Attorney Robert Jarvis spoke on his client's behalf.
At this point, we don't know what they're basing it on because it cannot or should not have been upon the mandatory reporting law.
Neither the governing board nor the district have shared the reasoning behind not renewing these contracts, but the decision comes after both administrators were accused of failing to report an alleged crime on campus last year. According to Mesa Police, 3 males assaulted a juvenile male, and one of them reportedly brandished a gun after an after-hours soccer game. Police later submitted charges against Thomas and Klecka for failure to report. However, the city prosecutor has not filed any charges.
Based upon the law that was in effect, everything was done properly, reporting was done properly, and there should be no result of a non-renewal.
Jarvis sent a letter to the board ahead of Monday's meeting outlining how the administrators did follow the law, district policy, and their training as it was written at the time of the incident. Jarvis says the incident was reported to a school resource officer who worked for Mesa Police, adding the existence of a gun was never confirmed.
If they would have taken it into consideration, we would have had a different outcome.
As far as what's next, the administrators remain under contract until June 30th. A district spokesperson says they're looking for their replacements, sharing this statement, quote, Mesa High School has a long and proud tradition, and this timing allows the district to conduct a thorough search to secure leadership moving forward. And both of the administrators remain on paid administrative leave. Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
Gabby, thank you. Tonight, we're getting a look at some new video from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office showing the scene of a cockfighting ring bust in Tonopah.
A ringleader and 2 others are facing charges for allegedly organizing and taking part in the operation. 12 News journalist Maria Stobbs is here with details on this, and it's just so brutal to think about this, Maria.
It is. Mark Caribe, deputies say when they arrived, they didn't just find dozens of people on the property, they also found dozens of live roosters and an in-progress cockfight. And I want to warn you, some of these details are disturbing.
A makeshift fighting ring, betting ledgers, and 34 live roosters. This is what deputies found on Saturday on a rural Tonopah property.
Property owners out of state and a neighbor advised that there were several vehicles on the property that they didn't recognize.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office told us that night a large group of people fled when they arrived, and some of the roosters were in the middle of a fight.
Patrol then created a containment and requested our tactical operations unit, which was our SWAT team.
Once crews got inside, they found 2 dead roosters near the ring, 5 more buried on the property, and 34 alive. Some of the roosters had gaffs attached to them. Those are knives strapped to their legs for cockfighting. Deputies also found a scale and a board tracking wins and bets. Court documents say 48-year-old Jesus Valenzuela arranged the cockfighting event and handled the money, while 38-year-old Miguel Pelagio was his number 2 guy who allegedly got permission to host the event at the property from the property caretaker. He was found hiding on a pontoon boat under a tarp, discovered over 6 hours after deputies arrived. 52-year-old Ruben Zavala was also arrested. He allegedly provided security and collected entry fees, but he claims he wasn't involved in the event, saying he was asked to clean up trash at the property. Once he got there, he says he didn't know anyone and took a nap before waking up to deputies at the scene. Both Valenzuela and Pelagio refused to speak to police. And if it weren't for the event being shut down Saturday night, court documents say it was supposed to take place all weekend.
Now, all three of the men are being charged with both presence at cockfighting and permitting cockfighting, which is a felony. All of the live roosters were humanely euthanized. We're live in studio, Maria Stobbs, 12 News.
All right, Maria, thank you. Developing tonight, Phoenix police are investigating after an infant boy was found unresponsive at a home near 83rd Avenue in Thomas. Police say that they arrived early this morning around 5 a.m. The infant was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. No word yet on why the baby was unresponsive. Police say that they were called to the home for unknown trouble. Stay with 12 News for the very latest on this investigation.
Tonight, deputies are still searching for the person responsible for painting anti-Semitic graffiti in Anthem earlier this month. The sheriff's office says a swastika was painted on an electrical box, and residents found more paintings across the community. Rabbi Friedman, the director of the Chabad of Anthem in the North Valley, told 12 News the Jewish community will stand up against the hate.
On this group, people are saying, "Oh, I saw it here, I saw it there." So they've seen another 3 or 4 spots around Anthem. You know, with everything going on in the world, this is not what we want to see. And Jews are afraid, Jews are scared, and we want to stand proud, and we want to say that we're here, and we're gonna stand up to this stuff, and we're not going to back down.
The hateful graffiti has been painted over, but there is still no suspect in custody. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly is suing the Pentagon and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, accusing them of violating the Constitution by trying to retaliate against him. Hegseth recently announced that the Defense Department would cut Kelly's military retirement pay after he took part in a video addressed to U.S. troops urging them to resist illegal orders. Today, Kelly talked about the lawsuit on the Senate floor.
Censuring me because I've raised concerns about his actions and military operations. Well, that's my job. I have every right to say these things as an American, as a retired service member, and as a U.S. Senator, and especially as a member of the Armed Services Committee whose duty it is to provide oversight over the Department of Defense.
Kelly's lawsuit asks the court to vacate the censure letter and the move to demote him from captain.
Today at the state capitol, anti-ICE protesters interrupted Pinal County Attorney Brad Miller's announcement about a controversial new bill. The protests forced Miller and other leaders to move inside of the state Senate building. The proposed legislation would make it a felony to interfere with an officer during an arrest. Miller says that the bill is needed to support ICE agents, but activists disagree.
Let's confront the facts head on. ICE is making Arizona safer. Yes, safer.
Adding more cruelty upon cruelty in isolating the most vulnerable among us.
The bill is already gaining support from several state leaders, but it may be months before the legislation is heard on the House floor.
Governor Katie Hobbs unveiled her affordability agenda during her State of the State speech today.
But as 12 News journalist Bram Resnick tells us, there are questions about whether the state can afford the Trump tax cuts.
Members of the legislature, the Honorable Katie Hobbs, Governor of the state of Arizona.
The theme for Governor Katie Hobbs' State of the State speech was affordability.
Affordability isn't a joke or some hoax. It is a real and consequential challenge that families across Arizona must grapple with every day.
The centerpiece of Hobbs' proposals is what she calls her middle-class tax cut. It picks and chooses from the Trump tax cuts enacted last year. A larger tax deduction, no taxes on tips, and other features.
Put the middle-class tax cut package on my desk immediately. I'll sign it.
Republicans do plan to pass and send a tax cut package to Hobbs' desk this week, but it's the entire Trump tax cut. hundreds of millions of dollars more than what Hobbs wants.
I would say she's at the 50-yard line, and we're in the end zone.
The challenge with both tax cuts is how to make up the lost revenue. Now, there's some agreement there. Hobbs has also asked the Trump administration to be repaid the $750 million that the state spent on border protection.
We are not interested in supporting the Republican proposal that is geared towards ensuring that corporations and the wealthiest benefit from their tax plan.
But at least in the case of the Republican plan, that money would not cover all the lost revenue. And there's no guarantee the Trump administration will write a $750 million check to Arizona.
And that was Bram Resnick reporting. Governor Katie Hobbs is expected to veto the tax cuts that Republicans send over, leaving even more questions than answers on how much of the new federal tax code the state will adopt.
Construction is now underway on the next phase of the massive I-10 widening project. And tomorrow morning, the Today in AZ team is getting an inside look at how it's all coming together. The I-10 Wild Horse Pass Corridor project is expanding the freeway from 2 to 3 lanes between Phoenix and Casa Grande, while also making several changes to interchanges and bridges. Tomorrow on Today in AZ, a closer look at the area that will be impacted and when ADOT says the entire project could be completed.